Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to episode 68 of Sorry We're Closed. And you'll have to excuse the giggling you might hear in the background. My lovely girlfriend is sitting here, and I'm not making her, she's voluntarily standing in the background while I make this episode this Sunday evening. And I actually put it out to you guys because I had a guest planned, a comedian, Mr. Will Noonan, who will have to push back until next week because he had things come up. So I just came up to you guys. What did you guys want to talk about this week? We got some interesting ones. Let's see here. Bearded Rhino 15 said, I've never realized that was your name. Had to talk about some movies. I won't dive too much into movies because I don't really like movies all that much. However, I will say there's a movie, and I should have prepared myself. It's a movie. It's with Will Smith, and it is so good. I don't even know if it ever came out in theaters, but it's not Sixth Sense. That's not Will Smith. There was a movie I'm trying to think of here. I'll look it up as I'm talking here, where he gives away his body parts over time. And it is so good. 7 pounds, because that's the weight of the human heart. 7 pounds, and he gives away, over time, he got into a car accident. I guess he was texting and driving, and got into a car accident and killed his wife. I guess I shouldn't spoil. This shouldn't be spoiled. Let's say we'll do spoilers here. And over time, he gives away his own body, I guess out of guilt or what have you. He saves 7 lives, and he gives away his eyes. I forget what else he gives away, but he gives away a bunch of different stuff. And at the end, he gives away his heart. Really, really emotional movie, but a really, really cool movie. And I remember the first time my brother told me to go watch it, I did. And he said, just be aware, you're going to be really confused after the first time you watched it. You're just going to have no idea what just happened. And it did. It took me twice to watch it to really appreciate it. But it was a tremendous movie, and one of Will Smith's best, in my opinion. Small State Big Takes podcast, as you know, they're very, they're loyal friends of the pod. They talked about doing the top 10 facial hair guys in the MLB. I don't even have any clue where I would even start. That would take a tremendous amount of research for me. Actually, it wouldn't take it'd take very minimal research. I'm just not going to do it. Let's see. And then there's one other guy, my good friend, Mr. Anthony Cirillo, telling me to talk about Mesopotamians. And it's something I highly recommend you do with your family. If you're able to do it with a straight face. If you can't do the straight face, it doesn't work. But when someone asks, when you're in conversation and someone asks, just an off-the-cuff question about something you guys are talking about that no one really knows the answer to, always pretend you know the answer. And just dive into it full-fledged with a full story and a full background. It is. You'll get people to buy in on what you're saying, and then after a couple of times, people will catch on that you do this all the time, and no longer will they buy in because your story is going to be completely fabricated. It's because you're doing it completely off the cuff with no actual research to make it sound legit. There's going to be a bunch of pieces in that story that sound absolutely ridiculous, and people will start calling you on it. So that's something, we talked about how the Mesopotamians actually discovered the Mississippi River, back in the day, which is complete bullshit. But it was enjoyable to run through that. You never really know where your mind's going to take you. But the real thing I wanted to talk to you guys today about, and it's kind of an interesting, someone had brought it up past couple of days here on Twitter, and it's talking about minor league baseball. And obviously I spent most of my baseball career in the minor leagues, with only playing for a few months in the big leagues. And minor league baseball is such a weird thing that I think you can always add to it. You always talk to people about it in a way that they might, I feel like people are intrigued to know exactly what minor league baseball entails, because there is so much nuance to it and so much things that you just never, people, unless you've been a part of it, you can't really grasp what minor league baseball is with the bus trips. And I remember in Asheville, North Carolina, I believe it was, there we stayed at it was one of the oldest ballparks in America, and our clubhouse was dirt floors. Like they didn't even actually have actual floors for us. It was all dirt. It was just so many weird things that came out of baseball, especially in the minor leagues, that it's just you just can't, it's tough to put into words. I remember talking to my lovely girlfriend as well about when Tinder had first come out, and it was a revolutionary idea for people in baseball because we're just jumping into all these different cities. It's hard to meet people because you're there for 3 days. Like how can you really meet anyone? It's very. But I remember being on the bus with an old player of mine, Cody Kukuk. And he bringing it up to me, and this guy Corey Littrell, and then Jacob Dahlstrand, like all these guys, we just sat in the corner and like put our location as Lexington, Kentucky, and started swiping with, and it's been fairly new at the time, so there wasn't so many people on it, but there's just so many stories you can go into, day in and day out over a beer about minor league baseball and what it's about, and it's so intriguing to a lot of people because it's 30 guys on a team all throughout minor league system, all trying to make it to the big leagues. You got a lot of delusional players in there. You got a lot of hopes and dreams riding on these things, families coming to see them, girlfriends coming to see them, so much going on that it's unlike anything else I've ever been a part of. And the one thing that always comes up is the pay that minor leaguers get. And when I was playing, it varied, but when I was playing, it was right around $1,200 a month. Once you got up to the AA, AAA levels, it went up a little bit, but not all that much. And then the goal was to get into the 40-man roster, and that's when you get paid. 40-man roster, first year 40-man, I think is $40,000 a year, and then second year 40-man is $80,000. And then, typically you're negotiating deals anyway after that as a minor league free agent. But there's so little money in the game of baseball for 99% of the people that get drafted or get signed on a free agent deal. It's crazy to me that it's even legal. And you talk about it all the time. I forget how they classified us, but we're part-time workers. They don't. I remember going through this like in Greenville and how they were able to get away with it. And it was very clever, honestly, how the owners are able to get away with paying us so little. But we're almost like seasonal workers. And listen, I'm sure it helps them quite a bit as far as their pockets are concerned. And I hope that, and I think that they are talking about it as far as increasing the pay now that the teams have been cut down, because there were so many teams affiliated with Major League Baseball that it is quite a big expense because a lot of these big league clubs are supporting these minor league clubs as well. Now, I'm sure not all of them are super profitable endeavors, and they need help from the big league club in order to survive and be a profitable business. And so you have all these things going on, and then on top of it, you got to pay all these salaries. It's a lot of money. But being able to pay us so little, saves them a fortune over the long haul. But a lot of people talk about how it's not fair, and I've always thought it wasn't fair myself. Minor league baseball, it's you get to the ballpark around noon, 1 o'clock, and then you go about your day. You're there until about 10 or 11 at night, depending on what you're doing. Most games are 7 o'clock, so they usually end around 10 p.m., and then you're showering if you talk to any of the media after the game, which is not always the case, but especially in the minor leagues. But 7 to 10, and then again, you probably get out of there around 10:30, 10:45. And as you get to the upper levels, in AAA, you just watch every Major League Baseball game. Or really, your parent club, whatever it was, you just watch. You sit there and watch. I remember we had to go on an overnight bus trip to Buffalo from Providence, and when I was in Pawtucket, and the big league club wouldn't let us leave for Buffalo until the big league game was over because they didn't know who they were going to have to call up, who they were going to send down, all of these different moves that were going to happen after the game. So we had to sit there and we all just watched the Red Sox game. and waited. It was, of course, extra innings game. Like, it was everything that anything that could have gone wrong for a team that had to deal with a bus trip overnight did go wrong. It was crazy. But these are the types of stories you only get in the minor leagues. Once you get to that big league level, if you ever get established, it's a good gig. You're getting paid good money. You travel all around the country. You're playing baseball for a living. There's not much negatives to it. But as far as the minor leagues are concerned, there's so much to deal with guys. Like, I've talked about it on the podcast before. I've talked about it with other people on other podcasts, where you have to go and you have to sometimes feed a family, let's say, or you have to get a second job in the fall and winter in order to earn a living, because you don't really earn one in minor leagues. If you're making $1,200 a month starting in April, May, June, July, August, a little bit of September, but let's say 5 full months, you're talking about $6,000 a year. That's nothing. That is nothing for these, to be able to survive on. That's before taxes. So I can't imagine some of the difficulties that a lot of these people went through going through the minor leagues and getting paid in a way that just is so unfair. And on top of it, I saw a statistic on Twitter with some of these guys that have been talking about it, saying how minor leaguers, here it is, the average salary of a Major League Baseball player has gone up 2,000% since 1976, while the minor league baseball players, their counterparts, have only seen a pay increase of 75% since 1976. That's insane. I mean, granted, go get yours once you become a big leaguer, right? And those are the guys that are making you money. You're really just developing guys. You're probably losing money on all the players in the minor leagues until they get to the big leagues. So I understand that it's not super profitable having minor leaguers in that time frame. That's probably why you get paid so little. But it's crazy to me that they're able to increase by so much at the big league level and not have anywhere near the same type of increases coming down at the minor league level. And it's a lot to deal with, and having a union. I know the union tries to help minor leaguers, but in reality, they don't care about us at all. They only care about the people that are paying into union dues, just like any regular union does. So it's not concerning to them what's happening at the minor league level. And it's too bad. But it seems as though right now the Major League Baseball is going in a little bit of a change with how many teams are coming on board, where they're cutting a bunch of teams. Obviously, there will be a lot less jobs out there for these minor leaguers, and a lot less guys will be able to sneak through the cracks. You might not see. I think there's only 5 rounds now anyway, so you won't see those 40th rounders get into the big leagues. You're not going to see some of these heartwarming stories. I think Mike Piazza was one of those guys, but I think as far as being realistic and helping guys out and not having them start their lives, 5 years later in a loaded debt because they weren't able to do what they were supposed to, as far as, with no realistic chance of ever making it to the big leagues, I think overall it's a positive for the game of baseball, and hopefully we see some serious increases in the way the minor leaguers are paid, just so that they're able to do so and not have to worry about getting a second job in the offseason. And because it's a full-time job trying to take care of yourself. The job does not stop in September for these minor leaguers. A lot of them go to instructional league at the end of September. Some guys go play in winter ball to make some money. Regardless, you're taking care of your body all the entire offseason. You're working out. You're doing a lot to make sure that you stay in shape and be ready for the year following, because you're always fighting for a job. You're always trying to make it to that next level as a professional baseball player, and it's a full-time job, and it's a year round. So it's crazy to see, again, what these guys are able to get away with as far as paying these guys to try to make their own dream come true. But hopefully we're taking steps in the right direction for the minor leaguers, and hopefully we see some pay bumps, in the near future, especially with less teams, which I think could help. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. I apologize for my friend Will, who did not show up today, but I will make fun of him endlessly for that on the podcast that we do, sometime during this week, and we'll release next Monday. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar. Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.